my camera. I'm looking at the webcam. Hey guys, I'm Dr. McFarland, and I'm doing a quick live stream tonight. I'm using the new MX5 and a newly downloaded 2 rigs from Peter Workman. He's a great guy, a great Headrush guy, and he usually does worship rigs on his YouTube channel. Then he provides them in a download link that we can enjoy and use for whatever we want. So I like everything here, but I'm going to experiment just a little bit and see if I can't move some things around. So I got my guitar, which is the Greycock Gristle Master from Reverend, and just talking to a Stellar X2 microphone with the Mevo 23T3H over the MX5. So it's just a quick dirty live stream, and I have a cable on order so I can actually use my my M50 camera as a nice webcam. So that'd be cool once I can get that working. But for now, I'm just gonna do the rough and dirty and just go with it. So let's go ahead and do a quick review on this rig, which GBOGH, I don't know. I don't know what that is, but it's fine. So first of all, we are in stomp view, okay? Now we can have it in rig view, which means we can flip back and forth between 2 different rigs. Okay, we got Never Let You Go, we got that one. And I do have this in a set list. Okay, so this is called a worship set list, and I got 2 rigs in there. Okay, so we can slide our finger just like we can the pedal board and the gig board, which is really cool. And so I'm going to hold down first switch and push stomp. And Peter has 3 scenes in here that we can use. Okay, now he has a clean. This is very interesting. So the first amp, which is your Bogner, it's a Bogner Blue, which is more of a clean channel type thing. He does have the gain up fairly high, which is perfectly fine. And he's pushing the mid-range a lot. So I think that's what a lot of guitar players miss out on, is like we're trying to make everything so scooped and pretty, and he's just cranking the mids and just raunchy. So I like that about that amp. And then we have a Lead 800, which the master volume is a little high, the preamp is pretty high, and once again we got the mids cranked here. Okay, but the treble is not that high, it's only at 34%, so that's great. So those 2 are on while the clean channel is on, but Peter's secret sauce is this. He uses a graphic EQ, if I can tap on it right, and he's shaping the sound a little bit. He's lowering the, bringing down the low gain and a little bit of the mid range, and he has the actual gain down by 9 dB. So what this does is it essentially makes a what would be dirty amp or dirty setup. It really cleans it up a lot. So I am playing a Telecaster here, so this is a cleanish tone. Okay, let's take off the gray comp here. And what's going to happen if we take off the graphic EQ? Okay, let's hit the scene switch and we'll turn those back on. Now if we go over to the dirty scene, we have the graphic EQ off, which means it's going to be more, have more dirt. But we're still using the same amps, because we can see that the second amps are off here. Okay, and the second pair of amps are a Bogner Red, which is a high gain, And we also have a tread plate modern, which is also a high gain sound. So he's stacking heads to get a more complex overall tone, which I like. I think it's great. Okay. But we're taking out the graphic EQ and we're taking out the gray comp, which would be prematurely taking away from some of that dirt. So maybe if I turn it back on while the dirty scene is on, we can get cleanish again. Okay, that's pretty cool. I hit the scene and it takes those off. Now, for me, that might be dirty enough. I may not have to go full filth on this thing, but let's just check it out anyway. So we're gonna have the Bogner Red and the tread plate modern. Okay, something really cool that we're doing here is he has a reverb before his amps. So it's taking a already dirty sound and it's just driving reverb into the front end of an amp that's already overdriven. And now you just have a really dirty, raunchy lead tone. Which I think if you're in a full band mix and you want to kind of stick out and have just a nice wash of sound, then that's something that you could do, okay? So we see the tape echo is on for the dirty, but it's off for the filthy, and we have a dyne delay on. So we have a lot of things in this rig. But I don't see the spring reverb. Yeah, the spring reverb's not on for anything. But we can always turn it on if we feel like it, right? Alright, cool. So let's go back to the filthy. Let's actually turn off the airverb before the amps. Let's just see how that cleans that up. Alright, let's turn off the delay and the reverb. Okay. Checking my levels here. I'm looking pretty good. So far, first of all, hi guys, I'm Dr. McFarland once again. If you're watching, leave your name, where you're from, and what kind of amps you like to use for clean tones. I might change the question later, but for now, what amps do you like on the Headrush for your clean sounds, okay? Alright, I like this. Let me move this around. Check. I feel like sometimes the mic gets a little too hot. Maybe. Turn off that. Check. Don't want to compress too much. Check. Alright, cool. Sorry. Just checking my levels here. Alright. I don't want to touch this rig. So we are going to, first of all, we're going to save as new rig. We're going to call this, I can never type. Now this screen, wow, this screen is small, okay? So you really gotta be accurate with your punching of numbers here, okay? We'll call this worship 1. And now what I'm going to do is this. I want to be able to have, I think for me, this clean and this dirty, that's enough. Let's just say that's good for what I like, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go in and say, I'm going to go to hardware assign. Instead of having a filthy scene, wait, let me think about what I'm doing here. Okay, let's say we want this just for fun, okay? Let's save as new rig one more time. I'm going to call this worship tap 1. Okay? So now I have a backup of my main worship rig that I can go and change however I want. I still have my 3 scenes right here, which is cool. Okay? And let's just say we want also a spring reverb on right there, right? Which is just going to turn off. Actually, no, that's not, because that is, that's no change right there. All right, cool. So we're going to worship tap. So what I'm doing is I'm going to edit this. Sorry, I'm going to go here. Go to toggle, tempo, and then tap. So one thing about the gig board and now the MX5 is this. We are limited on switches. So you really have to be careful and cautious on, let me turn this up here so I can kind of hear myself talk a little bit. Okay. We're limited on switches. So we have to be smart about, okay, are we going to put this in rigs view and then switch between different rigs? But then if you do that, you can't access your tap tempo on a switch. You have to be in stomp view for that. So what I'm going to do, and this is what I propose people doing when they're using the MX5 or even the gig board, okay? I'm going to have a clean and then a dirty and then a tap tempo right here. Because especially for worship music, I have to have control over my delay times, and having the tempo on a switch just makes it so much easier versus having to hold the tuner, which would mute your signal. You have to unmute yourself, then you have to tap in the tempo from there. It's just a lot of holding and tapping and whatever else. So I'm going to think it's easier for me to have a clean, a dirty, then a tap. And then what I can do is I can go back to my worship 1, and I'm going to save as a new rig again. And I'm going to say this is going to be worship tap 2. Okay, but now instead of having the dirty in there, maybe, now I can have the filthy, and I can still get to my clean channel if I want to, okay? So now what we're going to do is go to hardware assign. We're going to move these around, and now I'm going to make this my tap tempo, okay? Go back, save. Okay. Now, if I want to get back to my original rig here. See, there's my worship 1 with all 3 scenes. I'm going to bank up with these 2 switches right here. There's my worship 1 with a tap, so I can access my clean and my dirty. And whatever rig you want memorized to be on first, when you go to that new rig, you need to turn that on and then save it. So that way, if I scroll back and then go back up, that LED should be on. But I know I'm in the clean channel because I can see what that is. Maybe that's a bug that Headrush needs to go and update. Because I want to say we updated that and maybe 2.3 for like the pedal board and the gig board. But for some reason, the MX5 is not memorizing that. Let me check the global settings real fast. We have 3 different pages right here. Effects return level, effects loop stereo, main out level is line, and that's fine because I'm going into a line in. I do have the brightness down just for this live stream. Otherwise, it would look like that. I think that's still too bright, so I'll keep it on. I'll keep it on 3. Let's go to page 2. We got MIDI through, depth for the color, apply to LED, looper renaming time. Okay. MIDI channel. And we have a global EQ, which nothing's adjusted here. All right, so I'm not seeing an option for storing the LED of a hardware assign or a scene on here. Okay. And that's fine. Okay. Note to self, make sure we put that in the next update, like maybe a little bug fix to make sure this LED stays on, so that way when you go to that rig, you know which scene you're on, because you're not going to be able to memorize all this stuff. I mean, if you got 40 songs in a set list, there's no way you're going to memorize which scene should have stayed on when you go to that rig, and then you have to hunt and peck trying to find, oh no, which scene was on? I can't remember. It's impossible. So we got to get that fixed. Okay. All right, but this is what I'm going to do. Here's my clean. Let's say I don't want the gray comp in there. Killix TV, plenty of reverbs in here, and I'll make a separate rig, changing out the reverb. Okay, but for now, I'm just gonna keep going through this. So there's my clean. Let's say I like that. Okay, I mean, it's pretty good, right? Let's go to my graphic EQ. Come on, double tap. Still getting used to this screen. It's very small, but it's fine. Okay. We could do, see, this is very much like a power amp kind of scenario. Let's bring the gain down just a tad for my taste. Preamp down, maybe somewhere around there. What I think I'm going to do here, I'm going to switch it up a little bit, okay? We do have the graphic EQ. Let's see what the dirty sounds like now that I've lowered the gain on the amp. Pretty good. Let's lower the gain a little bit more. Come on. Preamp down. Okay, let's take out this reverb because I don't want it on. Let's put it in distortion and a green J or C. which it needs to be green. Maybe bring the level down. Cool. Now let's go into hardware assign here and let's edit this scene. So that way our green JRC is on, and then this one needs to be off. Okay, because I don't want it on for the clean sound. Alright, once again, I'm not a huge fan of the gray comp. I mean, Peter makes it sound great. And I love that about his playing style. But I'm going to go here. I'm going to bring the threshold all the way down and then adjust the ratio to my taste. Press it just a little bit more. Alright. Now, I'm going to adjust this one more time. Let's have the compressor be on. Okay. And what if the tape echo was on? Because I know why he has those there. Because this was a rig he had on his main pedal board, which has more switches. So he probably was able to kick those in if he wanted to. But let's just see what it sounds like with the tape echo and the dyne delay. Okay, I like that sound, but let's keep it real simple for this first one, the worship tap 1, and then hit the scene 2. Happy with those two. So now I'm going to save new rig, and I can go in and I can change the order of these. Worship tap 3. So let's go for four different ones here. Okay, so now I'm going to go to hardware assign again. Edit the clean scene. I'm going to turn the tape echo to on. And should be good for that. So maybe I adjust this a little bit. So let's see what the other one's set to. That's 800 milliseconds. Let's actually sync it up. And let's make this 3/16, which is going to be your dotted eighth. And there's a quarter. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's a fun little gallopy kind of thing going on there. And then scene 2 still has the same one. Alright, all this verb, all this craziness going on. I'm just kind of testing out different sounds and combinations. Let's go. Let's save this one more time. And we're going to do a worship. Keep misspelling stuff. And we're going to call this trim. Maybe. Gotta go slow on this small typewriter. Alright, worship trim. This one is going to have, let's take out the spring reverb. And let's bring in a tremolo sound. Because why not? We'll do a square mono. And we'll not sync it up. We'll just make it a certain rate. So let's check this out. Okay, very heavy. Come on. Gotta get used to that. Okay, now since we got different stuff here. Let's change out the amps, shall we? Let's still make it a Bogner Blue, but let's just bring down the gain on that one. And let's go to here and let's make this. Let's make it a lead. I mean, it's probably fine. Let's make it a black shimmer. Let's go for more of a Fendery type sound here. Okay, let's take out the cab. Let's put it in an IR. One of my IRs, Sonic DNA. And let's go with a finish 30 on this sucker. Let's go here. Alright, now that probably changed some things tonally. Possibly. The other one has some good mid-range to it. Probably not going to use the tape echo on that. So let's bring in a cab. Same cab he had before. Not that one. Here's the green 25 watt with a 414 on axis. Let's compare the sound here. That's actually pretty close. Let's turn that off. Turn that back on. Alright, since I brought the, let's do this. Let's keep the EQ side of things, but let's just bring the gain back up on that graphic EQ. Okay, that's fine. Let's check the output. The rig volume back up. All right, go to scene 2. All right, so we're gonna have to turn off the tremolo there. And amp 1, amp 2. It's a preset. Let's go to a tangerine on that sucker. Yeah. So don't forget that you can do stuff like that. So in the hardware assign, and you go to edit your scene, there's a little spot for a preset. Okay, so if you already have presets made, or you just want to call up a preset that's already there, like this amp, for instance, we literally just made it that amp, which is cool. So now I can turn that off, turn this on. Okay. So now it's going to be an orange amp and a vintage modern trib plate. Holy smokes, that's really loud. Okay, this is going to be fun. Check this out. We're going to have the cab on. Let's do this. We're going to have the cab on for the clean. So cab on, and then IR off. And then for scene 2, we're going to have the cab off, and then IR on. And that's going to allow us to actually control the volume of our other amp there, because we can change the gain right here. See, some smart thinking there. Alright, I feel like the verb on this is a little much, so let's bring it down. Bring up the gain a little bit on the clean there. Which don't really want to do because that's going to push more gain into the front of the amp. So let's just go to our cleanish amp here. Let's bring up the gain there. Okay, we gotta have tremolo on there. Not sure what happened. Tremolo on. There we go. Cool. All right, let's name this scene. Let's call it Filth. So dirty. All right, there we go. Hard Rock Cafe, baby. All right, so let's go back to our worship 1. Alright, we got a lot of volume going here, that's for sure. To the next one. Let's go back to that second one there, and let's check the output. Alright, I like that. We'll save it. Tap 2. Still not a fan of the gray comp. Let's put the other compressor in there. Dyne comp. Okay. Scene 2. It's hot, man. It's a hot one. Let's check the output of these delays. Mix is at 26%, so that's fine. Alright. And then trim. Oh, it's not very loud. Let's bring down the depth of that. Okay, let's go to our set list here. We're going to worship. We're going ... number 2. So here's all the different rigs here. So we have worship 1, tap 2, tap 3, and worship trim. It's probably fine, right? Probably fine. So let's make one more rig here. And let me show you how to make it from scratch, doing the double lamp thing. So we'll do a tangerine. Let's go ahead and bring that down there. We're going to do ×2. Whoops. ×2. And what's a good pairing for a tangerine sound? Maybe a J45. I don't know. Maybe. Okay. Checking levels here. Don't want to master up too much. Okay, let's take out this cab, bring in IR, dock IRs, stick with a greenback. Alright, for the guy who wants to see what a reverb sounds like. Alright, so we got really two main options, the air verb and the 11 verb. There's a spring reverb, which I'm okay with. You know, it's okay. It's not the greatest reverb. Then there's an ambiverb. Okay, so let's just make an ambiverb long mod. Crank the mids like Peter. Let's cut that bass. Don't want tons of bass. Alright, don't want the ambiverb. Let's just go with the regular reverb. Let's do a hall. Maybe. Just in the mix. Okay, let's put in our compressor. Alright, delay. We'll do a dyne delay. We'll make it stereo. Alright, let's go to our ADAT inputs here. And let's make sure we're stereo. Oh, check this out. That's what you call a ducking delay. Can't be heard all that much when you're actually playing, but when you stop playing, it comes in real nice. let's not do the semitone sound. All right, this is working out swimmingly. All right, let's put in overdrive. Let's do a black op, analog, and let's bring the cutoff back. Maybe bring the volume down. Alright, for this one, we're going to make it real simple. We're going to have a black up on switch 1, a pitch, no, let's do a dyne delay, and then for this one, we'll do a tempo. We've got to have our tempo in there, okay? Okay. Let's save this as worship. What are we up to now? Keep missing that S. S. H. I. P. Let's just call it worship 5. Okay. So we can go clean. I'm gonna have to turn down my headphones. Hurt my ears here. Okay. Now, I'm going to admit that this tone is not as aggressive as Peter's tone. So maybe his has just more life to it because he's really pushing those amps pretty hard. This is just dialed back a little bit more, and I'm not pushing the amps near as much, but I can kick in a black op if I want to. Okie dokie. Anything else I'd want to do? Anything at all? Anything? Okay. We gotta bring down the mix of the dyne delay just a little bit. It's about bedtime, folks. All right. I think it's pretty good. Had that Robert Plant in the mood. I'm in the mood for a melody. For the distortion. Yeah, I think so. I think so. Alright, one more time. We're going to go back to our worship tap 1. This is the clean sound. Definitely bright. There's the dirty. It's just very loud. So to level this out, we gotta go to our graphic EQ here. It definitely cleans up because we're cutting out a lot of that bass. I'm fine with that one. Make sure I save it. Go to the next one. Alright, another thing I'm learning about this MX5 is you can't just simply tap on the parameter. Like your finger, wherever your finger lands, is going to jump to that setting. And it's just like, whoa, it's a lot. So I really gotta get used to this thing. So that's his clean sound, but we're still driving the amp pretty good. Not a fan of that reverb. So I'm taking it out. Let's go here. Not sure what's different about it. Alright, I can work with that. See, that's their worship trim. That one, since that's a wide rig, I felt like the right ear wasn't getting enough juice. Because basically the top amp is giving you the left signal and the bottom amp is giving you your right signal. So it is a stereo rig. But you do have to make sure that your your stereo width is all the way 100% if you want those amps to be wide. Okay, if we bring it down, see, the amps are just down the middle at that point. So make the rig width nice and wide. Okay, so there's our clean. And I can hear that in my ears. I can hear the tread plate in my right ear. That sounds nice. It sounds really good. And then the orange, which I'm going to push the mids on this thing. Maybe cut the bass, get the treble. Cool. Oh yes. Let's take out something I'm not gonna use. Let's take out the volume. I don't adjust the volume all that much. So, but I do want to experiment with a little detune. So this one is going to be sure. Things a little bit more. Yes, that sounds cool. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up here. We got about 10 viewers watching. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the chat. And I'll just stick around for a little bit and kind of talk and answer some questions. But I think it's pretty good. Really quick plug, if you like what you see as far as Headrush rigs, IRs, in the description of this video and pretty much all my other videos, I just hit the camera. Hello. You can buy the Sonic DNA IR pack, which is the dock IR pack. And essentially that gets you each section of the IRs has a different mic and a different speaker in different levels of combinations. Because I'm thinking like an engineer in the studio and having two mics on two faders and then balancing those two mics by raising or lowering the fader. So that's what that is, and I get lots of great sounds out of just that pack. I know there's all kinds of IR packs out there. There's millions of them. But I really just like to keep things simple. And if I'm not getting a certain sound, then I'll just go switch an IR. It's like, all right, if the greenback isn't doing it, then I'll go to a vintage 30. Or I'll change the mic on the vintage 30 to get a different sound. There's all kinds of different ways to get different sounds. So that's what I'm doing there. And I do have a full-on membership on my website. You can learn about music theory, which I've been teaching private lessons for about 15 years. Teach all kinds of music theory, scales, chords, triads, chromatic scale, soloing, pentatonic scale, stuff like that. So that's what you're going to learn in that course. Obviously, the Headrush tone sculpting course. And all this is lifetime access for one fee. And then you have a production recording course that goes through mixing, mastering, editing, setting up microphones, recording drums, recording guitars, all that stuff. So if you're interested in learning more about music gear and recording, then check out my membership on the website. And it's just one-time fee for lifetime access of everything that I put in the future as well. So it's a really good value versus taking private lessons. Okay. Also, I do have affiliate links down below in the description for Amazon and Sweetwater. So if you like shopping at those places and you want to help support the channel, a lot of times I do get products for free, but sometimes I have to pay for products. And when I do, I usually have to dip into my Google AdSense to help pay for things to actually review. So every time you purchase something through my link, I get a little bit of commission from that. And that just goes to help support here what I do on YouTube as far as making tons of free content for you guys, but also being able to pay for certain items that I want to review and just think it would be helpful for you to watch. So if you want to help in that way, shop through my affiliate links. You can buy a t-shirt through the donate and merch link down below as well. All that goes to help support me, and hopefully helps you in the process. So a capture feature. Oh, yeah, you're not able to do what like neural DSP and Kemper and all that stuff does. Yeah, I get it. Well, maybe one day we will have feature capture. Who knows? I see that you're using in-ears. Don't you have an issue that Headrush sounds different through a headset than through FR? Well, I don't really use FR live because at church we just have in-ears on stage. So, this is what I'm thinking about that after I think for a second. So, literally everywhere you go, it's the same with mixing music. I mean, I'm an engineer, I'm a producer, I mix, I master, all that stuff. You have to trust what you're hearing, like in the studio. And that way, hopefully it translates. This is all about translation. Hopefully it translates to other speaker systems in the most even way possible. Okay? So let's say you make your rigs here at the house, and I'm listening through studio monitors most of the time, right? If I then go listen to an FR108, I'm like, okay, maybe it sounds a little different, but not that much. Okay. Now you go show up to a venue, maybe it's a blues bar, maybe a club, whatever. And you see they have some old 30-year-old PV speakers hanging from the rafters and these really crappy floor wedges. Just because the sound changes when you're at the venue doesn't mean your rig's changed. It's how the rigs sound through that particular set of PA speakers. That's it. Okay. Now, my argument for that is this. Once you start playing with the band, like you get the drums, the bass, maybe a second guitar player, maybe the singer, multiple background singer, whatever, like whatever your typical band setup is. Once you start playing, the sound of your guitar individually is not going to matter all that much, because your guitar has to blend in with the full band sound. And just because you made rigs at the house all by yourself and not really listening to anybody else in context, now you are in a context with the full band. And it's like, this sounds different to me. But I don't want you to go thinking you have to go change everything about your rig because you think it sounds bad or you think it sounds different. It's just you're hearing the rigs in context of a band. So therefore, I think you should just go with it. Okay? That's just one example. Now you show up to venue B. That was venue A. Now you show up to venue B. And now they have some really nice QSC speakers, maybe some JBLs, some really nice floor wedges. They got a nice sub in there. And you start playing, it's like, hey, this actually sounds really good. Well, yeah, because your rig sounded good in the first place. You didn't have to go change everything just because you switched venues. And another passion of mine is I think you should let the sound guy kind of do his job. If he feels like you're too bassy or you're not blending in with the band, it's his job to mix you on the stage and mix the band through the front of house, make sure the wedges are sounding good. And if he needs to pull out some low end for you, that's just what he's going to do. If he needs to mix the other guitar player or maybe adjust some frequencies on the bass or maybe the vocals, he's going to smooth all that out when he's mixing the band. So I just want you to concentrate on building the best rigs you can and rigs that you feel confident that sound good to you. And that way when you show up to a gig, whether you have in-ears, a 108 in front of you, maybe you just the run-of-the-mill floor wedge, whatever that is, just know that the sound didn't change. It's just your perception of the sound in that new environment is causing your ears to be like, something sounds different to me now. What's going on here? So I'm going to show up to church on Sunday because I'm scheduled to play. This is why I'm kind of going through these rigs. I'm going to go through the set as well, probably tomorrow sometime, but I'm going to pick out a good clean sound, a good overdrive sound, a little lead thing maybe, some galloping delay type stuff. And that's it. There's no need for me to show up that morning like, oh no, my rig sounds horrible now because I'm standing in a new environment. Well, guess what? I've made these rigs with in-ears in. I'm going to be listening to in-ears on stage. They're not going to change so drastically that I have to go just alter everything about the rigs. Okay. So that's my opinion on, same thing for like global EQ. It's like, all right, sure, you show up to the venue and now everything sounds bassy. Well, maybe you had a speaker up on a chair and it didn't sound bassy before, but now when you put it on the floor, maybe in the back corner, sorry, I'm gonna hit the mic, maybe the back corner of the stage, yeah, now you're getting all that bass response because this is where the placement of the speaker is in the context of the room that you're in. So it's just all about context. That's all it is. So I think it's smart to, if you have a 108, great, listen, build your rig in the 108, listen to it, put on some headphones, does the sound change so much that you have to go reconfigure everything? No, it didn't change all that much. But you can kind of tell, it's like, all right, I probably did have a little bit too much bass in that rig. Let me take out some bass, right? Whether you go to the amp itself, maybe you go to the IR, maybe you just bring up the low cut. Instead of it being at 60, maybe you bring it up to 100. Anything like that, right? And maybe a global EQ can just be a failsafe for whatever you're doing. So if you go here and be like, all right, the lows, I'm going to bring it up to maybe, let's say like 150 hertz. I'm going to bring that down by 3 dB. Okay. Let's see what happens if you bypass it and then turn the EQ back on. Does it help the sound? Does it not help the sound? Okay, great. I think global EQ is there for a reason. Otherwise they wouldn't have put it in the Headrush in the first place. I think that's something that the Helix and maybe some other modelers don't really do all that great, is global EQ stuff. But the Headrush provides that for us. So if you show up to the venue and you still think you have too much bass in your rigs, okay, great. Well, then just go to your global EQ, turn the EQ on. That now has your, like, a little bit of bass roll off going on, and just listen to yourself in the band context. Be like, it sounds good. Let's rock, guys. I'm ready. It just comes down to being confident in your gear and the rigs you have built, on whether it's a pedal board, a gig board, or an MX5, or a Helix, or a Neural DSP, or a Fractal, or a whatever. It doesn't matter. You can show up with a tube amp and a whole big pedal board full of pedals and still show up to the gig and think your sound is crap. You're always gonna think your sound is different from what it actually is, or what you remember it being at the house, or in the studio, or in the practice space, or wherever you're at. So it's not a digital modeler thing. It's just a guitar gear thing. It's like, yeah, I sound great at the house because I'm all by myself and I'm not playing in the context of a band. But then when you do get into a context of a band, you start having second thoughts because now you're here. I'm just chasing rabbit trails at this point. I keep saying the same thing over and over. You get the point, right? You get the point. I could go on and on, but that's my long answer to a simple question. Anybody else? Hope you guys have a good weekend. I turned in all the paperwork and documents for we're closing on a new house here pretty soon because we're adding another addition to the family. Hint, hint, we're having a baby. So now you all know. Now you all know in the world. My wife is probably going to kill me for that. But anyway. Yeah, so things are going to be changing here at Dr. McFarland Studios. But we're getting, hopefully, if everything goes through okay, we're going to get new house, going to have a new studio, and new paint on the walls, maybe some new gear, who knows. Maybe some extra booths for like vocals, guitars, drums, and just a whole new setup. So that'll be fun, documenting that whole process of a new studio build and just showing you guys how much I don't know about setting up a studio. So quiet tune electric guitar. It was really figuring what to do was switch from the headphones 708. Yeah, that's good. I don't like the size of the screen. I mean, honestly, I like the gig board. I like the gig board better. If I'm going to have like a small, compact something, just to me, I mean, I like the gig board. It has the same size screen as the pedal board. You can touch things a lot easier. Now, it doesn't have a built-in expression, but honestly, I don't use the expression a lot. I really don't. I don't use a lot of wall pedal. I don't really do volume rides with my foot. The only thing I might use expression for would be maybe like a whammy type sound, or maybe like a harmonizer, something. I don't know. So I'm going to do some videos this next week on comparing all three units and trying to figure out, okay, which one should you buy based on your personal needs. Now, I prefer the full-size pedal board because you have all the switches. You have a tap tempo on its own switch. You don't have to take up a switch just to add a tap tempo into your rig. Just everything's just, it's just more fleshed out, and you can get to things a little easier. Hybrid mode works really well to see the rigs across the top and then your stomps or scenes across the bottom. I like that about the full-size pedal board. The gig board is great. It really has a permanent home on my studio desk. But I can see the MX5 just being one of those throw and go in a backpack and go jam with some friends type thing, Just situations where you don't need tons of switching and tons of features and whatever else. It's like, all right, just throw some rigs in a set list. Make sure you got a good clean tone, crunch tone, lead, a solo tone, maybe an ambient thing, whatever, depending on what you're doing. And bam, you just switch between them and you're good to go. So I'm glad what they did with the MX5. What Line 6 didn't do with the HX Stomp is this still has a quad core processor, and it has all the same power of the full size pedal board and gig board, just in a real small package. So any rig you make on here, will transfer over to the pedal board and vice versa. On the HX Stomp, you run out of DSP super fast, especially if you're wanting to use a lot of pitch shifting type effects and, and also it only has 8 blocks? Is that 8 blocks? 9 blocks? Maybe just 8. I can't remember. I hadn't plugged it in a while. And honestly, I have the HX Stomp and it's fine, but I just prefer Headrush products myself because the touchscreen's great. All the amps and effects sound really good, and it just gives you everything you need and everything that you don't. So, not try the gig board. Have 2 pedal boards, one for church and one for house gig backup. There you go. Well, if you like the pedal boards and you want something super small, then the MX5 would be pretty good for a good backup kind of option. Because this could technically fit, I think. This should be able to fit in the pouch of my my guitar bag. So I'll probably just show it with my Gator case guitar bag, and then this in the pouch, and my in-ears, and that's it. I won't have to take the big backpack that has the pedal board in it and whatever else. So that's my thoughts on the MX5. Yeah, man, Headrush all the way. It's ever since someone asked a question, what made you decide the Headrush over other options? And honestly, when I saw the Pete Thorne video of him demonstrating the pedal board, I was like, whoa, this thing sounds amazing. It's got a touchscreen. It's got spillover between rigs and scenes. You can still do 4 cable method with it if you want, with a tube amp. And wow, it provides all the guitar and bass tones that I need for recording, for playing live, just whatever you want to do. So, all right, guys, my ears are getting tired. Oh man, ears are getting tired. But August has been a good month so far. I've cranked out some videos on different topics, which I kind of took a break over the summer, not Didn't put out as much content. Just a lot going on, really. Man, that feels good. All right. There you go. So that's the MX5. That is getting ready to do some worship type stuff for Sunday. And I might still go back in and tweak just a little bit maybe, but I'll know more once I practice with the old planning center on the phone there. And really appreciate everyone tuning in and watching. And yeah, looper board. I hadn't bought the looper board yet. But I'm not really a big looper kind of guy, so I'm not too worried about all that. Here is 7 in the morning. Relo Calcia. Cool. Just going back through the comments here. Okay, great. Headrush is the best kept secret in modeling. That should be a t-shirt, by the way. Angel Martinez likes the Fender Twin Reverb or the 64 Blackface. Love those amps. Yeah. I agree. Everything's great. All right. I'll be releasing, I know, at least 2 videos next week. One probably Headrush related, and the other one comparing some pickups between 2 different Telecasters. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, you're welcome, Sean. Thanks for chiming in and being talkative. I don't feel like I'm all by myself. But yeah, next week some more videos, and I did upload the rigs from the last live stream to the Headrush membership, or the Headrush tone sculpting course. So go check those out if you want to download those. And I will be, whatever you see on YouTube, I always add way more content to the website. So there's always growing content going on there for people to consume. But you got to sign up as a member. So you get you can either do the Ultimate Access Bundle or just buy individual courses or memberships. And that's one way to stay up to date on whatever I'm creating. Oh yeah, the looper board, yeah. Yeah, looper board is cool because it has all the microphone inputs, and you can do all kinds of creative effects and stuff on whatever. So that's a good point there. It's a really good point. All right, guys. I am going to hit the hay, as they say in the South. And y'all have a great night and rest of your weekend. And I'll see you guys on the YouTubes